myself, Kirsten Solomon. We will move to items for individual consideration. A, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on approving the minutes from the April 16th, 2024 meeting. Any discussion by the board? I have a motion to approve.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the minutes.
Okay, we have a second by Linda Anderson and a motion by Rhonda Bourne. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item B, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request for a C of A for the painting of the rear elevation and the placement of a sign and light fixture at the rear entry of 401 West Main Street.
Thank you. It turns out that my microphone is not working, so I asked all of you to turn yours on, and mine won't turn on, so.
Come and sit by us.
Can you all hear me if I sit here? Yes?
But if
You're
they're
all
by,
good?
but they're by video, they can't.
Okay. I'm going to sit there.
Is the one next to you not working?
There isn't one over there. No. And
If you want to sit over here, we can.
this is fine. I don't mind. Okay.
I don't like.
Is that better? Yes? Kind of? Okay, Karen has control of the slides today. We are short some staff members because they are at a conference. 401 South Main Street is where Dance Explosion Dance Studio is. They are looking to make alley access improvements to the rear of the building, which includes repainting the entire rear facade to be black in color that matches the black that the trim on the side in front of the building. It's just really faded, and you can kind of see that from this image. So they are just looking for a fresh update to that color. They'll also be adding the signage that's comprised of two black aluminum panels detailing the address, the phone number, and the business name and logo. The sign to the top is separate, and then there are vinyl decals on the door. The sign does meet the requirements for the sign ordinance, and it is there's a light over the existing doors, but then they'll be adding a goose light. If you'll go to the next slide, please, a gooseneck light above the sign, the new sign. Staff does recommend approval of this request, and the applicant is not here. I spoke with her yesterday, and they had dentist appointments for their children. So she did say if we have any questions, we can pass them along, or the board can move forward as they see fit.
Look good? Okay. I have a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the request as stated.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Steve Riley and a second by Linda Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries. Item C, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request for a C of A to place a sign and awning above the rear entrance of 418 West Main Street.
Thank you. This is for the rear, another alley improvement request. This is for the Bargain Box, which is operated by the Junior League. They're requesting to place a black aluminum sign above their rear entrance. They are not requesting lighting, and they are also requesting to have the striped fabric awning, which is a steel frame placed above the doorway. You can kind of see that there's an alcove where the door is placed, so both the sign and the awning will fit into that space and won't extend onto the brick on either side of the doorway. The sign and awning are designed to match and complement the storefront sign, and staff does recommend approval of this item, and the applicant is present.
There's no issue with the size of the sign?
No.
Any questions for the applicant?
Move that we approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness to place a sign and awning above the rear entrance of 418 West Main Street.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Kurt Chakowski and a second by Linda Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item D, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request for a C of A to add painted hardy board, a fabric awning, and new front entry door to the facade of 230 West Main Street.
Thank you. 230 West Main Street was built in 1882. The first floor storefront alterations, well, we're gonna go back. This came before the board in October of 2022. A COA was approved for the removal of the box from the storefront, and that's what we're calling on the left-hand side from the 6-month ago image. And the COA at that time stated that whatever rebuilding needs to be done after removal must be approved by the board in a new case. So this case is fulfilling that requirement. The applicant has removed the box, and what is there currently, and we can see it out the window over there, is the photo on the right. That is temporary covering that will be replaced with the hardy board in the similar color of the building. They are looking to put an elongated dome fabric awning, black fabric awning above the commercial storefront and extending it along this side of Rusk as well. So it'll go along the front and the side. The applicant is also seeking approval, if you'll go to the next slide, Karen, of replacing the storefront door. Currently, it doesn't have any windows in it, the door that's there, so they are looking to put a commercial storefront door there. There aren't any side lights included. There is the window to the right of the door, but not any side lights present on the left-hand side. The request, so there are alterations to the first floor. If you'll go to the next slide, thank you. This is what the building looked like in 1915. It was built in 1882 with some remodeling in 1912. And then some significant remodeling in the 50s and 60s that changed the first floor from what we see on the screen to kind of what's there present day with that single door and then the glazing of the windows. I did reach out to the THC staff architect on 2 different occasions for his official statement of opinion, but did not hear back from him. The building does maintain its integrity and is a contributing building because the second floor has not been altered, and we do believe that the first floor alterations can be reversed to the period of significance, which is up on the screen. However, I do want to state that the applicant's letter of intent states that there is a financial cost that is prohibitive for him to do that. He said it's about $200,000. However, I'm not aware of other funding discussions, and maybe the applicant can assist with that at the time when that's appropriate. For these reasons, staff did not recommend approval of this request. I believe that the alterations further detract from the historic integrity of the design and the structure. There was never an awning on this kind of building with this kind of architectural style, which is classic revival. It would not be an appropriate addition. And I believe that there may be other funding opportunities that exist and could be explored. With that, the applicant is present for any questions, and I believe there's some other staff members that can speak to it as well.
I'm sorry. Wait,
you state
if you
your
made Mr.
name
Kai,
and-
if you'd wait till we get the microphone there.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Good morning. Or good afternoon, actually.
We have, actually.
A little bit.
still need to do this? We're recording it? My name and address?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. My name is Tony Kai, 10 Whispering Oaks Drive, Denison, Texas. Okay. Where do I start?
The beginning.
I'll start with this. There are 2 buildings left on Main Street that have not been renovated out of them. We've done 102 facades in downtown. And everyone, most of them are cradle to grave, meaning that the staff at DDA goes to the property owner, does all the paperwork, gets all the contractors, we negotiate on behalf with one thing in mind, and that is to upgrade whatever that building is to whatever we can get it to look like, to the best and closest we can to historic. That is a beautiful building. It is on a beautiful corner, and it is ugly. And so we've been working on this with the building owner, who's a good friend of all of ours, or at least most of us that know him, Philip. But we've been doing these grants for 20 years. Now, the fact that that building and the other building that we have on this agenda have not been renovated should give you an indication of the challenge involved. However, we love a challenge. So we've been working on this for quite some time, and I got my board member, Mr. Spindle here, that's helped me on several other ones. So the history of this is when we met with Phil, he and his wife said, hey, we want to take it back to as close to the original. I said, that's great, that'd be perfect. So we spent months with different contractors to get bids and an insight on how it could be rebuilt. The picture that you have before you is one other demo remodel prior to the way it's done now. And the way it's done now is after that picture, when they remodeled it to what it looks like now, they went to some third party that actually made those tiles. And they matched pretty close, but they're not exact matches. And that was kind of clouded by the black mold that was all over the building that we also removed recently as part of our whole process. So we dug in with Chip Piazza and another contractor about, well, how do we match that? How do we rebuild it to look like that original look? Actually, I put in the application it was over 200, but I think he says like
250, I would say.
and
just close the door at the time.
yeah. So we go back to Phil and his wife, say, okay, it's gonna be around $250,000 to get it back there. Well, he's not gonna spend $250,000, right? So what's the alternative? Well, the alternative that we came up with after months of investigating and looking at different angles and how can we get it back to look as well as it could look on that corner, and that is what we've proposed here. Is to go back with the hardy board, make it match, and then we're gonna have to cover that up with something, because it's not gonna look good like that. And the only alternative that I can come up with is awning. And so we've met with awning companies, got bids, gone through all that process. So that's where we are today. Be glad to answer any questions or thoughts or recommendations.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Could we change the slide just so you could see what the
Yes.
proposed?
Yeah.
Sorry.
There.
Right there.
Now, this is not to scale, because you can see that awning is way bigger than what it's actually gonna look like on the building. But it is, I mean, somebody came back when there was some demo and that white painted that's peeling off. I don't know what they did there. Either they, put some other material on it, some other covering, and then painted it. But it's the same on the front, so you gotta do something with that. So we were gonna take that hardy board and where it is now, basically the same color it is now, to as closely match that as possible. And then we're gonna paint that up there as well. So the awning will cover all that. But if you walk under the awning, it's gonna be 4 foot out. And if you look up, if you happen to wanna look up, that's what you're gonna see. Should be a real clean, flat board look. So that's where we ended up on it, and that's where we are today.
So for $250,000, what was the scope of work? What was that going to entail?
Yes, that entails wrecking out all that secondary tile that they had built. Because you gotta get it all the way back. If you go to that other picture.
Can we get the picture that he's talking about that would show the,
There.
See where his,
Do you have to go all the way back to the brick?
well, there's no brick. To my knowledge, I mean, there was brick there, but that was just a filler. Because when they destroyed the original building to that look that you have right there, they just put that brick in there to be a support for the corner of that building. Is the best analysis that we can come.
Nothing lines up if you look at it, with the way that brick is, the way the details are, nothing.
Excuse me,
All
sir.
right, yeah, I will.
Would you mind?
Yes,
moving to the
I'm
podium
sorry.
so
I know better.
Come on.
I know better. David Spindle, 1307 South Lang, Denison.
Thank you.
Anyways, no, that brick is not part of the original, and I'm not sure what picture he showed you unless it was when it was a drugstore. And,
Right here when they did that.
they opened up that whole section there. And going back to the whole history, even before this was a bank, it was a dry goods store from what we understand. Then it became a bank. That's where my doctor and pharmacy was when I was a kid. It was upstairs, so. But to redo that, basically the whole front has to come out and they have to hand make those blocks. They have to hand pour them to rebuild that up. So that's where the big cost is.
this right in here? Is that,
Yeah, not, well,
that-
yeah, that section would have to be fixed too. The white you're seeing over there?
because when you're saying the whole building, I'm trying to,
Not the whole building, just from that.
We can't see the building.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We gotta work with what we got.
I'm sorry.
Are you talking about everything inside the red square that you've drawn on there?
Right, plus below if you're gonna go back to the original, because none of that is original.
well, that's what I was asking on this particular one. Is this the original you were trying to get back to, right here with that door,
We actually,
that whole facade from here down is what we're talking
that
about?
was what we wanted to try to do.
Okay,
And so we had Charlie Scher, architect,
okay.
draw it all up, and that's what we used to try to get a bid on.
So from here to here was 250,000. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Plus the
Okay,
other side too.
This side.
I mean, you had to take off that whole front
okay.
up to, through that white. to
Is
get
it possible to use stucco as opposed to hardy board?
Or ephes either.
Just to put a texture above the hardy board, some kind of
Yeah,
texture on
yeah.
that surface. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, you're not gonna see that, because the awning's covering it, so when you walk up to go in his office, if you wanna look up, you're gonna see it. Basically, what you're seeing, you can't see it here, but, you're gonna see that trimmed up, and then above that is that white that's painted, so we're just gonna scrape that and repaint it the same color as the hardy board. So hopefully it's just a neutral, nothing that you're gonna,
Did you go out for bids or did you just get the one bid?
yes.
And you got how many bids?
I just got out one bid,
Just got the one bid.
because he was recommended by Chip as a qualified bidder. And to get bids and to go through this process, we spent almost 2 months just to get that bid.
Only 2 months?
Only 2 months. I mean,
Mr. Scott, I'm just working to understand this. Karen, if you could go back to the picture that's got the red lines in there. One more. There. So you're talking about, I can see where the hardy board is there except for the brick cutout. So you're talking about taking hardy board all the way up to what I'm gonna say the architectural feature at the bottom of the second floor. So everything essentially that's in the red.
it's gonna look just like that, Kurt, except that red brick's gonna be covered.
Covered.
Because we're gonna come out like an inch or so. So
Mhm.
that red brick, the way they put it in there, it kind of,
Understand?
it's not flush.
You see
That's
that?
why we didn't seal it. We did seal it off there, but we didn't put a board over it. So we'll put a thickness of hardy board there that causes that to
So you're talking about hardy board all the way up there to that part on the right picture that you can see that's either discolored. If you go to the next picture then with the awning, that awning is ugly.
Well, now you know that's not the scale.
I do now.
Okay.
I do now.
But that's not the scale. Obviously, that's way bigger than the scale up there.
Tony, excuse me, please speak into the mic.
Yeah.
Just for 5 minutes.
And it's gonna sit underneath that architectural piece you're talking about. It's not gonna be up above it, it looks like it does there, but it's gonna sit underneath that architectural.
Is it going to be curved down, or is it going to come down as a rectangle,
It's gonna be
or as a triangle?
no, it's gonna be a curved arch,
Domed.
if they call it an arch.
A dome.
It's gonna look exactly like a Helby next door building, with
Okay.
black awnings.
Mhm.
I wanted to go with a straight line type awning, but Phil and his wife want that, so.
One of the, I guess from the diagram you showed, the building next door has, because these buildings are tall and angular, you have a flat awning over next door.
Yeah, we have the,
And-
where the
and that-
Pizza Hut or the
Domino's.
Domino's.
Yeah, so that seemed like a flat awning would fit better on this building than a dome one, but I'm not a
Yeah,
designer.
but you can't cover up the hardy board fix that they're talking about there.
You could if it was, I'm gonna use Landon's as an example, they have a fabric angular awning. It's nice looking, creates the same coverage, and signage shows nicely on it, actually. It's a great display for fabric as an opposition to metal.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying there, Mr. Kyan, is I have no problem with the door. If we're trying to maintain a bit of a historical integrity, I don't like that awning, even if it's to scale. It's not, period, appropriate.
I definitely understand that.
I have a
Here's
quick
the
question.
option. Either somebody has a different option to finish that out, to make it look as historically correct and still look good, and then go back and negotiate with Philip.
Are the original transoms beneath there? Are they, can we
Nope.
retrieve those?
They
Okay.
go- Only thing behind that was the two befores open, it's open because they wrecked it all out. So that's not where we're gonna go back with that hardy board.
Not to create a new issue, but was the restoration of transom windows above that an option? Or is it
There
two?
were transom windows there.
There looks like there was one, and one on each side of the original door, and some on top, a bucket. Those. In the picture
Oh,
you
right there.
circulated, Tony?
Oh, yeah, that's just all, that's just two before framework right now. The original building did not, I
Karen,
think they
will you go
wrecked that
back?
out.
Sorry.
Keep those in the original, this one is, I know that that's, right, but I'm,
$200,000 came
right,
to rebuild that column.
yes.
Both of those columns, one to the far left and the one down the center are not, don't line up if you go look to the original coming off the top of the building.
Okay.
So you've got to redo that too.
Right, and that's what we're looking at, right. And then, correct, and this is since one of the remodels has this, because this is the one you were.
I guess that's one does, I mean, that's what it looks like, I don't know, I don't have a picture of how.
Just even as a design transom appearance, even if they're not, I'm sorry?
I don't know how they, after they got finished with that, I think they just wrecked it out,
Oh,
put two before framework, and then put that box on there.
Angle iron cut away out there, if you look in that brick that's sticking out, so there's a big piece of angle iron they may have added afterwards for support when they added the new column, you know, and added the brick to stack it up for help support.
Well, we recognize that exposed brick is something that will be attended to in one way or another. I don't think that's the issue here. And we see it's out of plane. We're good with that.
You're good with everything but the awning side of it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, from my perspective, that'd be the only thing, like the awning at Landon Winery, because it's a flat, angular, would still be able to cover up the hardy board. Would that be something to be acceptable to you guys?
Well, it's not us.
It's not
I mean, I wanted,
If this board were to approve the door, so you can start working on the door, and then ask you to go back to Mr. Schaefer and come back with some other options for the awning, is that a good meeting halfway here?
Or repeat that for me, so.
Let's say that we approve partially this request, and we would do
Okay,
the
Let's
door.
stop right there just for a second. The first thing we need to do is put it in the dry, because it's temporarily in the dry.
Okay,
So
certainly.
the first thing I would like is let's go back and get the hardy board and get that all fleshed up as a first step to make sure it's in the dry permanently.
Mhm.
And the door is kind of inconsequential, but
Exactly.
yeah. Okay, go ahead. I'm with you.
So I'll go ahead and go back and cover that there then.
Okay.
Is, here I'm talking with the board here now, hardy board versus forcing them to go back and get some kind of marble or faux marble to give the same type of look, but just make it hardy board. Approve to have a door, and then have them come back to us with some other awning.
Yeah, we're gonna approve the door and the facade right now, and,
Essentially, that's what I'm saying.
And simply table the awning?
Or not approve the awning, but approve the, putting it in the dry and approve the door.
Okay.
Does that give you something to go back to Mr. Schaefer and
I'm just thinking this through.
I understand?
I've got a year and a half of time involved in this.
Mhm.
He's a great guy. All these have steps with whoever the owners are about decision-making and timing and all that. I will go back with you and we'll go meet with Bill.
Okay,
How about that?
all right, I'm gonna be out of the country for the next 2 weeks, but okay,
That's okay.
all right. Because the only alternative is have us deny it and then have him appeal it. That would be the alternative. We're trying to work here.
Understand.
On
Mary,
the awning, is it, is it the fact that it's arched? You'd rather see if there's a cloth awning, would you rather just see a slope?
That would be a start.
Is that, okay, that's.
And
Kinda
scale,
gotta
I mean,
know something
I
we're
need to
gonna
see
hit.
something that represents more scale, and I realize there are things that need to be covered up. But, yes, I have issue with the awning from start to finish.
Well, I would say this. We have the exact same awning, 2 doors down, down here, same cloth awnings that have been approved on Main Street on historic buildings over the years. Now, the question is, do we like what we see on Main Street over the 104 facades that we've done? I think everything can be done differently, but what we've done historically is we're gonna find a way to get these things done because that building was ugly.
each individual historic building stands on its own,
I agree.
and anything that's brought before us, we take that and deal with that particular. This one is different.
And I think it may be just the depiction, and maybe if you show pictures of the others, okay, we're a very flexible group. If you look just across the street at the Deviled Egg, you can see that awning was approved. Or if you look at some of the other awnings we have approved.
Right.
This depiction does not give me the warm fuzzy.
Well, I agree with you because that's out of proportion. That's just the drawing that the awning company
Understand?
put together for us, just to give us a conceptual, but.
If I could ask about your bid, your contractor, did you also have a designer? In other words, did, for instance, an architect, Charlie Shearer, happen to opine, or did anyone else? They did?
He and I and Charlie been grinding on this for over a year.
Yeah.
And so we had Charlie, typically what we do, if we can tell what's behind the awning or whatever before we take it off, I have Charlie draw up how we're gonna go back, the conceptual, and then we get with the landowner, then we get bids on that. So we have a drawing of how we're gonna do it. And most of the time, it's relatively simple, but you still have to, have it. And so we have a drawing to take it back closer to the way it looks, and that's what we worked off of when we talked to the contractor.
Yeah. I think the mass of this, and like you said, it's not to scale and it's hard to conceive it, is it robs that building of its aesthetic beauty. And I know the goal is to enhance it, so I think that, I don't know if an alternative awning sounds like that might be a good idea. And it sounds like, because we're gonna leave it in this possible limbo state, I just want to say that that's my opinion of that, is that it does rob that building of all that we're trying to achieve, you and to us, right? The beauty.
Well, let me think. It's a challenge. I can't go back with the general thought of what you want, explain it to him, and maybe get a piece of that. I need to know exactly. So
Sure, of course,
if it's like, we're gonna go with a vertical, a straight line awning versus an umbrella awning, if that is a go, I'll go twist his arm, and
Well-
really his wife's the one that wants that.
Sure. Well, could it be
You
that?
wanna meet with him and his wife, and she's great, she's a longtime friend, but this is what you get into when you're trying to get through this.
Yeah.
They're great people. They had no motivation to do anything to that building, obviously, because we've been doing this for so many years and it's still there. So we go over and, hey, we're gonna pay 50%. I mean, our total grant is $25,000. So he's gotta do $25,000 to get that. So his budget in his mind is gonna be $50,000, which we're good. I mean, we already did the washing of the building. I think that was $15,000. And then the demo was like $4,000. And then the awning is like $17,000.
And so, Mr. Kai, is the intent of the awning turning the corner beyond the street facade? Is the intent of that to further conceal where the brick is now
It's
With
to
the hardy
conceal-
with the hardy
Where
board?
the hardy board will be.
Where it's all,
it's to
It doesn't
conceal
offer any protection of
Minimal.
purpose.
Minimal.
a little.
It,
That's not the purpose. It's just to hide the
well,
repair that we're trying to.
that corner is, the way it's squared and then squared, when they put the hardy board on and everything, it really needs to be covered somewhere.
Makes it a tough cut.
From that architectural trim down, needs to be covered something.
I have an aesthetic issue with non-functional shutters. And to my mind, that's a non-functional awning that serves an only function of covering up something that needs to be covered up, but at the same time drastically affecting the aesthetics and historic nature of the building. And I can understand why some sort of awning would be appropriate on the front facade. Covering that brick is not sufficient rationale, to my mind, to carry any sort of awning around the corner, but certainly not a domed one.
Tony, can
We're
an
not just covering the brick. We're not just covering the brick, because we still have that hardy board.
Right.
It looks the same as the front, so it's gonna cover, the awning's gonna wrap around that building, it's gonna cover all of this construction, or key construction that we've already done. But the only purpose for that awning is to hide that.
Well, I have another material question then.
Yes.
So in lieu of the hardy board, can it be a plate? Could it be, because if you pull, for instance, and I'm not a designer, but if you pulled the same metal, for instance, or something similar to the window metal that's on this building, that would create a nice band of uniformity there instead of, or no, maybe not instead of hardy board, but to perhaps match that. Does that make sense? So that there's a cap of perhaps a metal band around it in lieu of hardy board, or perhaps the hardy board's painted to look like an accompaniment. I'm throwing this out there as a nice, not necessarily having to take the awning to that height, right? So that if there is an aesthetic marriage of upper to lower, that's not trying to match the building brick color, but rather a contrast color. Just a thought. I know I'm throwing this out there more as discussion.
That's why I asked about the stucco. Could you match it with stucco as opposed to?
Yeah,
Well, stucco wouldn't be it
Yeah.
would match the texture of
yeah.
the rest of the deal, so I mean,
Yeah.
so you're saying that white above where we got it, the
Can we
temporary
flip the-
board with the trim,
I-
that
I'll I'll have to look at the picture again, sorry, Tony. That one. And
That
you're
picture
talking
right
about,
there.
you're speaking above the white band or below it? I mean, in the red box.
You're talking about the white band.
The
I'm
white
talking
band inside the red box.
Everything inside the red box.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you suggesting that where the white band is, that we just paint that or texture that somehow and not take the awning all the way up to that? Is that what you're-
Perhaps, and even where the hardy board is also.
What's that?
Or where, at the top of just the hardy board too. But yes, to the white, to the top of the white, yes. If that is the aesthetic concern, then yes. Because if that's what the awning's function is, just to cover that, it would seem to put a design element there that would enhance the building rather than just give, just a thought, because it sounds like it would also be a little thriftier. I'm looking out for your fiduciary.
Somebody has to come up with that.
Well, I'd be glad to join you in this meeting with Kurt, if that works out.
If there's some other treatment that could be on that, that somehow
Well, that's,
still made the building look good, but.
and that's where I come back to the one bid, because possibly a second bid or a third bid might have given Mr. and Mrs. Schaefer other options to go with.
Well, there's only one option to rebuild the building to as close as possible that it was. There's only one option on that, and that's the drawing that Charlie did based on what's already been demoed and rebuilt. And it was really, really pretty close. I didn't bring that, but it's pretty close to what the original building looked like, with glass on both sides and then columns. And I'm just not gonna go chase down 3 more bids. I'll just tell you, it was hard enough to chase that bid down, and that came from a qualified source, Chip Piazza. Philip's not gonna do that. He's not done anything other than be nice and allow us to do all this work for the only purpose is to make the corner look as good as we possibly can and get as close as we can to something that everybody would be okay with.
So I have a question for Mrs. Tate. When staff recommendation does not recommend approval of this, and you give 3 different points, on your last point, point 3, additional funding opportunities may exist and should be explored. Could you elaborate on that, please?
The THC will do different mock-ups of what the best options for this building could be. And I think that would help you get what those conceptual drawings and then maybe eliminate some time. Like you could give that to a contractor and say, I need to know what that price is. These are historically accurate and acceptable concept plans. Now, I recognize it's the funding issue for the Schaefers, but when you take those steps with THC, there are times then when there are funding opportunities after that.
So staff is not recommending any alterations to this building, not just the awning?
No, that is temporary, the covering that's there, so it would have to be replaced
Yes.
in order just to protect the building.
Okay,
But
thank you.
But that was due to the approval of the last case that
The
came
October
before.
22
Yes.
one.
Mhm.
Previous case.
So that was previously approved, and we want to make sure that that is, that we follow through on that
Yes,
piece.
yes.
Mhm.
I would just, back to that white, you see that corner above the brick? Whoever did that box, they put, I don't know, some kind of tar material on it. So that was the other reason why we were gonna go all the way up, so we could cover that. I don't know that that can actually be removed, so it would still look okay above that. I mean, above your awning, if we just went to the top of the hardy board with the awning. So that was the reasoning, is to cover that up, 'cause I don't really know what to do with that. I don't think it can be, 'cause those tiles are concrete. They're not, I thought it was something else when we first started working on the building, but they're poured tiles, not that thick. Some contractor many, many years ago that made all those tiles. And they were able no way you're gonna pour that and make it match what's there color-wise. It's gonna not gonna look good. So that's where we stopped with that, just because of that input.
My thoughts would be that this is achieved, the October 22, in that this is a proposal. And so now we can either deny this proposal, we can approve parts of it, or we can table it pending another diagram of potential other awnings, is the way that I understand this.
That's correct.
So I would be willing to say, put it in the dry. In that case, we're closing it off, so we are gonna say hardy board all the way up. And yes for the door, and then table the discussion for a representation of, could be the same kind in a better depiction, but a representation of the awning option.
And what is behind this hardy board that you had put up? What's,
It's just open.
is it like the white?
Pardon?
Is it like the white we're seeing? Is it,
Oh, no.
it was
No,
not
it's
that?
a
Okay.
frame.
Oh, it was just opened?
Right.
Yeah, it's wide
We
open.
took that box off, it's just 2x4s. In fact, he had to replace a lot of them because of all the water damage.
Okay, are these windows that I'm seeing in this particular time
That would
period?
be what was wrecked out, and they just came back with some kind of 2x4s on probably 36-inch spacing. And then they built that box that was on there off of that 2x4 framing. We have pictures of that if you want it, but it's just
Is there a header there?
there's a header, yes. Steve?
I guess my next question is the building structurally sound?
It's got some other issues.
Okay.
That corner.
It's definitely not
That
plumb.
corner,
Well,
that corner is a little
that's what
scary.
I wanted to ask this question a while ago when we got on another topic. I'm not even sure your corner is sound.
That's a good observation. But I'm not doing corners.
We'll let Robert take a look at that.
Yeah, there's a gap between this glass and that corner, about like that, where I don't know what exactly happened when it was rebuilt to what it is now.
Well, it appears that it's been chopped because in this picture, it appears to come all the way down.
Yeah,
It does, yeah.
it was oh yeah, the two big columns came all the way down, you're right.
Yeah, they're gone. Those original columns are gone. They're not there. That's why it doesn't even line up. If you look
Mhm.
down
I can
there,
see that.
so it doesn't line up. So
Yeah, that's a little scary looking there, isn't it? On that corner.
We want what's best.
You went-
So do we.
Discretion in life.
So do we.
We all do, but the time and effort involved to get all these done is extreme.
Mhm.
And we want to get it done as close as possible and we want to be proud of it. And that's the challenge sometimes.
20 years from now, when you and I are all gone, we're all gone, somebody's gonna come along and recommend putting metal covers on all these buildings.
I think it was 50.
We just have one left. We're gonna talk about that next.
All that
just
work.
like bell bottoms, they'll be back.
Exactly. Just,
So,
Mr. Cobb,
Kurt's making good,
I'm so
made
sorry.
a good thought there. Just let me think this through. If we approve, put it in the dry, it'll look just like that, only that corner will be covered up. It'll be trimmed just like that. Then the only question left would be, do we want to do something with that white area? Just come back and paint it and not cover it with an awning, which still leaves that corner with all that tar and white paint will be visible if we do that.
Mr. Cobb, that's what I was in fact going to posit,
Okay.
that in fact, some expense could be spared by not putting an awning on this facade and use that money to figure out what you're gonna do to cover up that brick at the corner, just on this side. The rest of it, you're gonna cover up with an awning. But there would be some cost savings that perhaps could be applied to how to deal with that corner on this facade.
Our total estimated cost to go back with the hardy board, to finish it, make it look just like that, except
insignificant to the whole
Even
thing.
if you don't put that awning all the way around, you're still gonna have to square off that corner and have
Yes.
that brick.
Yes,
I mean, you're gonna have that on this side.
yes.
One thing, you've gotta build it out a little bit to even bring that hardy board so it's flush. If not, you're gonna have a piece that goes like that.
Mhm.
That's gonna really look bad.
Let me ask you
Like
this.
big cantilever.
It's a good. Would you prefer it just to have it look just like that, other than obviously the painting and all that, but just have no awning at all? Just have it, a matched, let's just say it's gonna look just like that, except for that white piece being textured or painted, and you won't see that brick, meaning, hey, you don't want an awning on it. That might be, that saves $18,000. It would be in the dry, but it would look basically just like that, except for somebody could come up with an idea on what to do with that white piece,
Mhm.
whether we come back and texture it or something else more creative. I'm not that creative.
What is the texture, what is the composition of that stone now? Is that a limestone? Because I know it's rough. What
It's
is,
concrete.
is it concrete? The whole
I thought it was
building is
limestone
concrete?
When I first went over there, and
Yeah, you can
Kept
see it where it's
looking at it.
deteriorating down here at the
Mhm.
bottom.
Yes, yeah.
In front, you can see where it is
Yes, I've
concrete.
seen that, yeah. Have-
Right in
has-
front of where I parked this afternoon, you can see where the concrete's deteriorating.
it's old,
Yeah,
tired.
Did you, I'm assuming he did have a structural engineer look at that corner? Or no? No?
Because
Okay,
I'm not dealing with the corner. I'm not doing anything structural on the corner.
okay.
We just removed the box. No steel, no anything that.
So, we're back to
It's got steel beams, Kristen, it's got steel beams behind that.
Okay, still
Tile,
works, okay.
just when they rebuilt that, they didn't get the tile, I think, where actually.
It's been like that for a while.
Yes, it is.
Can you
I'm ready for a
revise
motion.
your recommendation, please?
Hey, we can all go over there after this. Eat pizza, look at the building.
I can see it fairly well.
I'm ready to attempt a motion.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I would propose that we approve her certificate of appropriateness to add a painted hardy board and a new front entry to the facade of 230 West Main and table a decision on the fabric awning until further designs are brought to the board.
Okay, we have a motion by Kurt Chakowski and a second by Steve Riley. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any opposed?
Well,
Motion
not voting.
carries.
Yeah, just to be clear. Kurt's gonna go with,
I can go with you too.
Mary and Kurt go with. That way.
I got between now and Friday, and after that, I won't be
And
back till the
Rhonda,
25th.
got ideas
There
on
we
that, get to Kurt and myself and
You've
Mary.
done it, you bet.
Can the white part be painted the same as the hardy board, so it's got the same brickwork cover,
Well,
or
one
leave
would,
that just the way it is right now?
one would explore options
We might
where
as
the
well paint that
awning
white.
isn't, that would be aesthetically appropriate and match in whatever way, which might be paint, match this facade.
I have some
Um,
ideas.
And, huh?
I have some ideas on what we could do with some of it.
There's corner caps too, by the way, that,
What's that?
there's some
Yeah.
cool corner
Mhm.
cap. You could create an ephes match to it that could be a nice contrast.
There's a term I
That would
never
be a
knew about,
cool
but
ephes
match.
corner cap to
Mhm.
that. I'm just throwing out again more material options. Same with the big, cool looking, sorry to use the word
Well,
cool.
that's stuff we can work on.
Yeah.
For the next
Yeah.
meeting.
That
But
are
I
through.
would like to suggest this, while we're painting that hardy board, why don't we just go ahead and paint that white? Because it's not gonna cost that much more, just go ahead.
Why
and paint
not?
it.
Mhm.
And
But
then
here's
we
the
come
thing.
back,
That was my question.
if we want a different treatment on it.
Okay, yes, to create a uniformity for now, I agree.
And we would have a more uniform look, and it would also give us something aesthetically with which to work on this facade. And to my mind, consistency turning that corner for now and maybe forever is a solution with which we should search.
Does that require a new motion?
Yes.
One of the things we did not do is discuss, we keep talking about painting, we did not discuss the color of paint.
Can we open up the discussion again, because you've already made a
Because
motion?
we already closed
And
on
voted.
this.
Yes, so we need to open up the case again and then
Like D and a half?
continue
By
I think
motion
it's
to open it, or?
Have another agenda.
just
Mhm.
marking that it's,
Wouldn't it-
that we're opening and continuing the discussion. It's
No.
going.
No. What we're trying to do now is the motion to put it in the dry is talking about the hardy board. The hardy board does not include the top part of the red box, or what you see on the right side, the white.
We still need to open it back up for
Yeah.
discussion.
So you can't amend
you
your
open it
motion?
back up?
Yes, we're gonna
Even though
amend
you
the,
vote- Okay,
You said to
because we
amend the
didn't talk
motion,
about the
you
paint.
necessarily open it back.
Okay, so in opening it back up, the motion that I would make would be to include approval to paint
yes.
above the current hardy board so as to match the same color. Is that what you're asking about?
Yes, I
Sir?
need you to amend the motion to include the top part.
Because you didn't
Painting,
vote,
yes.
did you, after the motion? and
They
Yeah, we
did.
that you did?
Yes,
We did.
Okay, so you are amending your motion after we have opened this back up for discussion,
Yes.
and you're doing it now.
Before I do that, I want to make sure that that satisfies the questions that was asked. So what we're talking about is to, again, approve the hardy board, approve the door, and include now painting what is essentially white above the hardy board, so it is to match the same color as the hardy board. Yes, sir.
correct.
Perfect.
And do we have to approve a paint color?
They're
Just,
I assumed that it was part of that when we said the hardy board.
Okay, so it's gonna be that color that's already there?
Yes.
Well,
to match
to
the,
us, that's, I mean, we can tweak that,
to match the building is what you're saying.
but
Try to get.
As close
Yeah.
as possible.
See that look as close as possible.
Yes.
That's what our intentions were.
So my amended motion would be to approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness to add, as close as possible, painted to the building, painted hardy board, and paint above the hardy board, and a new front door, and table the fabric awning decision until designs are rebrought back to the board.
Okay, we have a amended motion by Kurt Chakowski and a second by Steve Riley. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? That carries. Thank you.
thank you, because I need you, we definitely need your input. This is not something, well, anyway, thank you for your service and for giving us ideas and how to make it as, make it as good as we possibly can.
Outstanding,
you.
that's what we all want to do.
Yes, sir.
And
Again,
Mr.
I'm here,
Kai-
I'm here till Friday, and then I'm gone for 2 weeks.
Well, we'll go over there right now.
Right afterwards.
Well, no, seriously, I'll see if he's there,
Okay,
and then we can, maybe sometime this afternoon, or we just.
okay.
And Mr. Kai, we certainly do want to commend the facade grants that have been made
Yes,
along the street.
yes, very much so.
They have made a considerable difference, and for that, all of us, including the community, are appreciative.
Thank you.
It's made the street also more attractive, as you know, for potential investors.
Yes, ma'am.
How many
Thank you.
buildings do you have left?
Pardon me?
How many buildings do you have left?
Well, the next one.
The next one.
Boy, you think you had problems on this one, when can we get hold of this one?
Well, he's got the next one, too.
Is that the next one?
Yes.
Well,
Okay. Are we ready to move on to item E? Receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request for a C of A to remove the metal awning, repair any damage and replace with an awning, remove plywood covering transom cutouts, repair any damage, and install transom windows on the front facade of 121, 123 West Main Street.
Okay, before we get started, we are going to amend the address to 123 to 125.
Yeah.
There was an administrative error on that part, so just wanted to clarify that the address is 125, or 123 to 125 West Main Street. That really does not change the images later on, but we'll get to that part.
Okay.
The applicant is seeking approval to remove the metal awning piece, as you can see in the current photo on your screens. It's similar to what we saw on another building recently, that skirting, if you want to refer to it as that. However, new drawings and details were not included in this application for the new awning, so I don't know exactly what that looks like. The applicant intends to remove the plywood that is covering where the transom windows previously were located and repair any damage to the framing and install new transom windows. There was a previous case in 2018 for this building that there's a hand-drawn sketch in your packet that for a complete facade renovation. It's not in the slides, Karen, because I didn't want there to be confusion as to what was being proposed. But it kind of gives you an idea.
Kurt, this is what they're talking about, Mr. Cox.
It gives you an idea of what was
This is what we're looking at.
submitted back in 2018. I don't know, I'd have to go back to the application.
Okay, that's just the
That doesn't
application.
mean here or there, but
Okay.
I've never gotten the second base awning to get this done. And I worked on it for several years to get her on board.
123 was constructed as a two-story building with a commercial storefront and tie rod awning. Now it is single-story, as you can see. And 125 was always a one-story building, and in the 80s, a remodel took place that covered the building in stucco and metal, what you see today. The Rosen report states that the building has poor integrity and is non-contributing as it stands today. Should it be reversed, it could possibly be contributing again. Staff recommends approval of removing the awning, replacing the plywood over the transom cutouts, and making any repairs necessary to install transoms. However, given that we don't know what the new awning will look like, nor do we have the kind of windows, I would not recommend that we approve that part, or that the board approve that part, until those drawings are finalized and brought back before the board.
So, the way I read that in the staff recommendation, I only thought that you were talking about the awnings, but you're saying awnings and windows?
Well, really, all I need is, I guess, approval to remove that. I mean, I have photos of what's behind it, which, have you seen that?
I wanted to get you as far along as possible without,
Having to come back.
moving
Well, I mean,
forward with something
Yeah.
that hasn't been approved
we
yet,
don't know,
so.
I mean, we've got pictures, it appears, all the work that I've done on it, it would be relatively simple to go back and just recreate those transom windows like we did at Toledo Finance.
Exactly.
And then, as far as the design of that awning, I know she wants a flat awning that goes out the same width.
It'll be the same.
And I haven't gotten
historically.
any bids on that, but the design is gonna be a flat awning with, the, whatever that cabling is called to hold that awning up, to match all the rest of the awnings that we have. That's what that's historically correct, I guess. But the next step is just get that off so we can really study it, and then, if we need to draw something, or just take a picture and say,
Yeah, that's what we're used to
Just
saying.
overlooked it.
So, yeah, if this is just approval to remove the stuff, that'll be easy.
yeah, I wanna work all the way through with, I don't mind coming back.
Good.
with Whatever.
Mary and the staff can help you with the, okay, here's what's needed for the actual design.
Yeah.
Oh, this is easy then. So this would essentially be remove the metal awning and repair any damage.
Put it in the drive.
Remove the, remove the plywood covering transom cutouts and repair any damage. That's what I would do.
And that gets you moving, right?
Okay. Ready?
I move to approve the action on a request for certificate of appropriateness to remove the metal awning, repair any damage, replace with an awning. Oh, actually, I'm just gonna say repair any damage at this point.
And remove the plywood covering the transom cutouts and repair any damage.
Yes. Remove the plywood covering and the transom cutouts.
Karen, you got that?
I'd be glad to say it again if you'd like. Sorry about that.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Rhonda Bourne and a second by Kurt Chakowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
This is the last facade. We're gonna get it off there.
Okay.
Thank you.
to staff updates.
Sure,
Okay.
I'll buy you lunch.
Okay, thank you. If you'll go to the next slide, Karen, or next two slides, keep going, thank you. Keep going.
Awesome.
Staff updates, and then I just wanted, last meeting I mentioned that I had approved some COAs administratively, so this just gives you a rundown of what those are. Most of them, well, all of them, except the last one, were signs. The one on Crawford Street is a pole sign, but because they are replacing it just with the same, using the same frame and everything, and they're just changing up, it's just a new sign. That doesn't come before you. The 700 West Main was a city application to make sure that we are also following our own rules to put something in place for the D3 construction material and the fencing up on that 700 block. Donna said that she had done that last time as well. And then the others are all vinyl signage and graphics, with the exception of that last one, which was routine maintenance, just power washing and touching up the paint.
Whenever we go power washing on brick, I kind of,
I do that too. I told him if it could be light washing,
there you go.
please. So,
Clean silver with.
There's some great, THC does some great, or no, it's National Park Service that does the great tutorials on
They
their
do.
video. It's
Mhm.
like watching YouTube.
That's
There's
all
so
I
many
had.
There's a
different,
great chemical called DB2.
Yes.
To clean gravestones.
Yes, I've done
Yes.
that class and I've used it. It's really nice.
I do that.
Oh,
Great soap.
did I take the class from you maybe?
No,
Years
I
ago.
just clean the gravestones. I don't teach the class.
Okay,
I'll learn by doing though.
that's all I have. Thank you.
okay.
I got looked into it, but
So, am I supposed to make a motion to adjourn, or can I just? I didn't think so, okay.
say we're done.
We are adjourning this meeting at 1:03 PM. Thank y'all.
Like